We live in Alabama. We got stories under every stone and every leaf. What if I told you you could change the world with just one thought? What if I told you you could be a king?
Big Fish comes back to some of the most basic of storytelling that we think about, the most common sort of stories of lies, Big Fish tales, where it's, I went out on this day and man, it was crappy weather and I couldn't catch anything, and then I hooked it and I reeled it in for hours and hours, and when I pulled it in, it was enormous. It was a giant fish, and everybody knows that the fish was never that big.
Be the hero of your story if you can. Be the champion in the fight, not just the man.
You gotta help me! If I don't catch a fish soon, my family's gonna starve!
Oh, the fish are sleeping. You just gotta get them moving. Just try the Alabama Stomp.
The Alabama Stomp? What's that?
Oh, let's see if I can remember. Yeah, let's come back.
Sometimes Edward is compared to being a big fish in a small pond because he grew up in just a small town where really no one had any ambition. He came along, changed things up, and he set out on the road, discovered tons of new places and met new people.
Oh yeah!
I think everybody knows an Edward Bloom, the storyteller, the guy who wants to talk to you and tell you this outlandish tale whether or not it really happened.
Every great storyteller has their own take on things, but they're kind of his own folk tales, they're his own myths. He's created legends where he's the focal point.
He kind of lives and breathes in these stories that he tells, and whether or not they actually happen doesn't really matter.
All right, keep it going. All okay.
Will, his son, is kind of the opposite, where he is really fact-driven and he wants to know exactly what happened and when it happened, and it doesn't have to be an outlandish story to make it count. And I think that's part of what really drives the conflict in their relationship.
My father told me stories I could never comprehend. In every tale he'd claim to be the hero. I tried to understand him, but I wonder if I can.
He makes these stories for his son Will with lessons for his life, and Will doesn't necessarily understand that all the time, and he can get pretty frustrated because at times it can seem like his dad's just telling him a fake story about how fantastic he is.
I wish I knew the man, but he's a stranger. My father is a stranger, I know very well. A puzzling shell. Although what's on its way may help us both to grow. But I don't know when I'll understand what made him wild. I don't know why he has the urge to fly. I want to face him like a man and not a child. So I'll try, I'll really try.
I basically play the referee in this show, where I think Sandra understands both sides and she doesn't want to pick a side.
Sometimes he bends the truth with the wrecking ball.
I think she really likes Edward's stories. I think she finds them endearing, and she also gets that her son is just not built that way.
I call it magic in the man, all the ways he's better than. But all you see is him and me, miles to go.
She's kind of the catalyst that spurs Will to try to understand his dad.
At the end of the day, Edward is just trying to give what he has to his son in the way that he best knows how to do it.
Out there on the road, I pray you'll come to me one day and say,
Let's fight the dragons and then storm the castles
till we win what needs to be won. So when I'm old and tired, you'll do the job required. You'll be there telling stories to your son.
It's about the story of catching that fish and what the fish represents. And I think that's so much about the undertone the undercurrent, I guess we can say. It's not about the end. It's about what we did to get there, and looking past the specifics of the story and thinking about what the meaning behind it is. And I think if people look at Edward Bloom's stories that way, then they'll see the truth and the reality of all of those, even though they are fantastic. Just like a good big fish story.